Striker Scorpion 82 is now sponsored by Warhammer Combat Cards, a card battle game featuring your favourite Citadel miniatures from the 40k universe. Free to download and play, link is in the video description below or on the channel homepage, and by using the unique link it helps support the channel. Thanks and enjoy the game. Right, welcome to this complete army video. Just gradually working my way through the factions, updating them, correcting the points adjustments, new units, changing lists around and so on. So you can see there's a series now building up of these videos, going back to doing these again. They are good fun putting them together, and the feedback's been good so far. There's Blood Angels has been done, Orc Army, Thousand Suns, just showing you a 2,000 points list, all the theory behind the list and how it's been put together. It's a chance just to explain the whole idea and concepts, and battle reports sort of straight into games, but with these videos it's a chance just to immerse yourself in the faction and to get an idea of tactics and so on. You can borrow ideas from this video here, no problem at all. You can use it for your own Drukhari army. Perhaps you're thinking of getting into collecting Drukhari. How do you go about building an army? What combinations are good? What are the models like and so on? So we'll zoom in just a moment and take a look at some of the models. Chance just to take a look at the collection that I have for my Drukhari force. So before we get going, if you are inspired and you want to get into Drukhari or expand your collection, do check out the channel sponsors, as they do discount 40k. It just helps keep the cost of the hobby down. It's the Outposts, link for them in the video description below. As if you do go to them, then please try and use that link. It's no cost to you, but it helps. There's a little bit of kickback for the channel, and so it helps us in a small way. They do discount 40k, Age of Sigmar, a massive range of stuff available from them. Paints, hobby accessories, all of those kind of things that you need are available from the Outpost. And if your order's large enough, then you can tap into not only the discount but free postage on top of that as well, as really keeping the cost of the hobby down. They ship to much of the European Union. And again, if your order's large enough, you get free shipping and duties paid, shipping out to a lot of European Union countries as well. So channel sponsor, check them out for discount 40k plus a whole load of other stuff, shipping across the UK and much of the EU. So for Drukhari, it's a little bit about the faction. Obviously it's like a twisted evil version of the Eldar. And the theme really that runs with these is pirates, basically space elf pirates, and the idea is, as well, I try and reflect it in the list. It's like a swift raid that the pirates just turn up out of nowhere. They attack you before you have a chance to react and do the damage before you even get a chance to respond to the attack coming in. So you're going to see that in the list that I've got. A lot of elements where it's swift attacks coming through in different forms. And then often, pirates, they soften the target up and outmaneuver them as swift, and then it's the final closing in for the kill, and they get their loot and plunder at the end. And you'll see that here with this Drukhari list, that the close combat and melee is usually the final action, like the final boarding action for this Drukhari list. So they run a bit different. They stick in their ships and their boats until the appropriate time. They don't want to waste or expose their weakness because they're quite soft and can be gunned down quite quickly, so they don't want to expose that until right at the very end. So it's very much a case of softening the enemy up, very much so, and then closing in for the kill when the enemy's been sufficiently weakened. And that's very sort of pirate style, but it's also the way that the Drukhari operate as well. They torture and intimidate their foe before closing in for the grisly end of whatever target they're going for. So that's the idea of the Drukhari. You'll see it reflected in the list. Nice sort of theme. Whenever you look at the artwork, it's sort of a grisly, torturous attack upon the foe. So you want it to be feared. There's a Drukhari raiding party. You want it to be a fearful thing for the opponent. So you'll see that there's a good number of combinations that are quite strong here for this list. But having said that, the usual theme for the channel. So yes, trying to create a list that works really well, and you'll see some nasty combinations, but also want to try and create a list that's a nice reflection of the range of models, and one that just has a nice balance to it, and a good representation of the major revamp that was done for Drukhari a number of years ago. So there's a brilliant range of models for them. One of the biggest revamps and recoveries of a range that I've seen Games Workshop do. I didn't like the previous models at all, wouldn't have gone near them, but then Games Workshop did a major revamp in plastic and it was a massive change. Fantastic range of models now for the Drukhari. So what we're doing now, a little bit of hobby time, just a chance to take a look at some of the models. I'm going to zoom in here, we'll take a look at some of the models, talk about the painting style and how you can replicate that as well if you're going to get into collecting these. So I guess we'll start with just a basic Carbolite Warrior. It's a good illustration of the colour scheme. So it was inspired by the artwork on one of the older codexes. And I wanted to go for off-world alien kind of colours. I love the idea of going for metallics. And so you can see there's a greeny blue metallic off these. And then I love the colour, the idea of the neon green. So you can see that like obviously like poison. And one of the colours that you'd associate that with would be like a toxic green kind of colour. So I wanted to run that through the models. So it works nicely on the pulsating weaponry here. These poison cartridges at the back. And I see it dotted about in other areas like the eyes. Any sort of pipes with stuff running through them. The gems, just gone for that sort of toxic green kind of colour. Just complements the colours on the armour. Like so. And I wanted to, an off-world alien kind of coming. What metal is that? Who knows what it is? That kind of idea. And then like a brassy, strange second metallic. It's often a good idea to go for not just one metallic on a model, but try and aim for a couple, just to mix things up. So if you are doing a lot of metallics, try and go for 2 different types. That just breaks things up quite nicely. The process of painting these is quite fast. So I'll not run through the whole painting technique, but you're basically spraying the base with my usual dark grey, and then spraying the model silver, varnishing it with Minotaur Armoured Varnish, and then putting a series of washes over the top. So there's a blue wash and a green wash. That combines together to create that strange kind of armour, and then just nice and neatly picking out the extreme edges with something like Rune Fang Steel's Stormhost Silver. And you get that nice kind of finish. So I'm very happy with that. There is a full tutorial how to paint Drukhari. It's one of the first tutorials that I've done, but the process hasn't changed. Even with the more recent models I've painted, followed the exact same process. There's no need to change it. So you can follow that technique. It will save you. I think it's a pretty effective technique and fast enough. It doesn't take too long. Get pretty good at doing the metallics on. It's the main feature. And I wanted the main feature to be that metallic armour. For that to be the main feature. There he is. That's the model I painted more recently. Exactly the same process, nothing's really changed. But link for that will be in the video description below, how to paint Drukhari. There's pretty good resources now actually. There's how to paint the infantry, and there's also one for the, I think it's a Drukhari Raider. No, Venom. How to paint a Venom. So I'll show you how to paint one of the vehicles as well, and it shows you how to paint all the different markings and so on. I also introduced another colour, this blue, this electric kind of blue kind of colour. Used it for the hair. So there's those 2 colours. In the tutorials, I show you how that you can, or talk about that you could easily, but simply change go for the same process, but you can easily change the colours around. So you can go, instead of green and blue wash on here, you could change that to perhaps an orange and a red, or orange and a yellow, pinks, whatever colours you want to use. You can just simply go for different washes and completely change the arm, but still follow the same process. Same for your spot colours. I've gone for the neon green and the blue, but I've seen people that have kept the green and changed this to red, for example. Yellows, all sorts of different colours. So if you like the process, then follow that tutorial. By all means, experiment by swapping colours out, changing things around to create your own version of this. But then again, I've seen people that have copied this exactly, and I've achieved the same results. So if you're a channel member, do share your results on the Discord page. Great platform for sharing your painting, what comes off your painting desk. There he is. So there's a variety of those. We'll move on to the same process for the Incubi. I did buy the new plastic ones. These are more recently painted up. I was sceptical of, well, the lead ones are okay, but these models are superior. They're fantastic. The sculpts are brilliant. They're slightly bigger, better filled out. Poses are better, details finer. So if you are thinking, well, should I get the Incubi? I've already got the old metal ones or fine cast. It's well worth the exchange or the swap, or just adding them in. That's him. I'll show you the squad leader. Brilliant model. Different poses you can do. I've gone for the double blade with him. Exactly the same process. Nothing's changed with these. That's him. Then you got things like scourges here, scourges. Kept the wings simple, just dark colour and then just simple highlights of different, keeping them black mostly, but then introducing a little bit of colour, simple dry brushing. The witches. So witches is less armour, same process though, and I've gone for like a flesh where they don't get much sunshine basically, so it's a very washed out kind of fleshy colour with those. Didn't want them looking too healthy looking. Like so. And the blue hair works quite nicely. It's more of it on the witches here. Like so. And then the Succubus. Brilliant sculpt. Fantastic sculpt, really one of the top models here. So running here. And I guess my favourite model at the moment would be Drazhar. It was a joy to paint him up, to see the model release, look at the base work. That all comes, most of that basing, apart from these skulls here, which I've glued on as accessories, but the rest of the basing that you see, it's all part of the model. Games Workshop really have done well. Just have to zoom out here. Games Workshop really have done well, just adding in extra detail on character bases recently. It's a fantastic job. You know, he should be down here, but with this extra base, he's way up high. It's fantastic. Same process, see the different mix of different tones with the metallics, the blue, hair being used, bit of neon green on a few gems, and then the accessories and so on. Very, very happy how it came out. Fantastic model. If you don't have this one already, then this is probably my top model for the Drukhari. And he's a beast in the game as well, which you'll see him feature quite nicely in this list. I'll zoom out a little bit more, show you one of my other favourite units. So these guys, it's the Reavers, the unique jet bikes for the Drukhari. So I took my colour scheme and I did a split on colours with these, just something different. So from this side is green, the other side is blue. Split down the middle. It's sort of a strange kind of circuit board, tattoo-y sort of finish with him. The idea of this list is that they've got nano poison technology and they hunt Necrons as the original theme for these, like a sort of a Necron hunting pirates. I think would fit quite nicely. Different design each time, so when you look down them you get a different design on those. You'll see it with the vehicles as well. For doing this colour scheme, or this paint scheme, and the chipping effect and so on, then that's all covered on the Venom painting tutorial. Probably, they are one of my top units. I really like the Reavers. And again, same process. You've got the armour being painted, the different metal tone being used, and exactly the same process. So you'll see a nice unity across my collection as far as the paint scheme is concerned. And if we just zoom out, we have the Venoms. I could zoom in a bit more on this one. So the washes, if you're careful with the brush, the washes seem to go on quite nice. So you get a strange kind of blue-green glimmer off this thing, and there's some extra highlights being done on there. Fill in some panels with black, and split colour on either side. And again, as I said, you can change the washes around to something else. Change the colour, the spot colours out to something else. Really can experiment and come up with some great combinations. There's a Venom. And the Raider, I tried to paint all the crew, it just looks very cool. Adding the crew itself, I think the box does come with crew that you can use, just hanging off the sides, very, very cool. Just really like the look of these. They just look empty. If you, most people I've seen don't paint the crew, perhaps to save time, but it just looks like an empty boat. When you've got the crew loaded on board, it just brings the whole thing to life. And it sort of explains the open top concept, how you can imagine, alright, it's all open top, so the crew just hang on the side of it, proper pirate sort of style. Underneath just that bronzy colour. And you see the blue split colours then onto the green. And finally, if I bring in one of the flyers, so this is the Void Raven Bomber. Just take it off its base. So this is the paint scheme on a much larger scale, but look at the glint and the glimmer on the armour. Nice. And then just rolling her over. And the see-through cockpit. And you see here it works. A large model, a lot of metallics all sprayed in silver, but I just pick out a different metallic and it just breaks it up quite nicely without having to paint too much, just a few areas using that bronze, but not too much. So that's giving you a good idea of how the colour scheme operates and the style of the models. But it's an impressive range of models available for the Drukhari, and that's the sort of unique colour scheme I've gone for with these. So links for all those tutorials will be in the comments section in the video description below. There's good resources for you. It just takes you through step by step how to do the whole process, and you can just follow it along, and you can paint to the same standard that you've seen here. Okay, so for Drukhari, here they are. They're just moving through, moving, firing, attacking close combat, slaughtering and torturing the Tau. So that's just the way they operate. They're happy enough to get into close combat, but the full-on charge and disembarking and charging straight in, you can just get cut down so quick. It's the term that's used, glass hammers. They can hit hard, but they can shatter. And if your opponent's able to kick out enough damage early on, then they're going to find themselves in trouble. So to counter that, you're going to see a number of mechanisms going on with this Drukhari force. But there's a number of points to this army. First is like a very early on strike. I love the idea of screaming jets flying over the top and dropping bombs, picking off certain targets, just softening up key parts of the opponent's army. So they've got a couple of heavy vehicles that need to be taken out, and these jets scream in, take them down and drop in a few bombs and so on. So you're going to see that element. That's the initial strike, an airstrike first of all, which is sort of very sort of conventional warfare. And then you'll see the army manoeuvring swiftly and delivering further firepower to take out key targets. And the whole time the opponent's saying, well, the enemy's not even arrived yet and we're losing stuff quite early on. So you can see sort of anti-armor moving in quite quickly. That's very swift into position with the force. And then you might see some surgical strikes taking place, not the full army committing, but terrifying the foe with precision blows just coming in, and again sort of cutting them up at different points. And then when the opponent's sufficiently weakened towards the end of the raid, then units start disembarking just to finish them off. So that's the kind of process you'll see with the Drukhari. It is quite strong because it's a very swift attack against the opponent, which is great. It's a manoeuvre out to the middle of the board, which I think is one of the strongest ways to play for 9th edition, just claiming the central ground straight away. So you're grabbing extra objectives, forcing the opponent back, and it just puts them on the back foot straight away. The downside is you've got to try and survive with an army that can be quite soft, so you've got to use your craftiness and cunning to keep units alive. Usually you're seeing it can be frustrating for the opponent, because often stuff's kept inside transports for ages during the game. They don't get released until the later stages of the battle, and the opponent's trying to get through to these transports because they know inside are nasty units, but it's a struggle because there's so many of these transport vehicles across the board. So that's the idea. You'll see that in operation here with this list. So really, a lot of the armies I have a defensive block and an attacking block, like with the Blood Angels, for example. But here, this Drukhari army is very sort of fluid. It all operates together, very much so. So, structure of the army. I've gone for 2 patrols. There's a rule here, aiding forces. So, if every detachment in your army is a Drukhari patrol detachment, you change the command cost of those detachments to 0 CP. So I'm taking 2 patrols, which would usually cost you 2 CP. Costs you 0 as far as I'm aware, and do check out the comment section to make sure I'm getting everything right here, but as far as I'm aware, it's still the case that taking a number of patrols, whatever number you go for, will cost you 0 CP. So I've gone for raiding party here just to keep the cost down. So I'm starting on 6 command points. The structure of my army is costing me 0. But I have gone for double Warlord trait, double Relic being taken, so it starts you off with 2 CP for this Drukhari force. So it's alright, as soon as the game begins I'll have 3, because at the start of the turn you'll pick up a command point, and then on the next player's turn then you're going to get another point. So the points will start flowing in, and I do very much rate these Warlord traits and relics, but we'll explain those as we go along. So one patrol, I've got 2 patrols, one's going to be a witch cult, one's going to be a Kabal, so that's the way it's going to work. And so we'll cover, we'll maybe cover the larger chunk of the army, which is Kabals here. So I've gone for Kabal of the Poisoned Tongue because I'm trying to create an army that's going to, the jets go in, then go in the transport vehicles with firepower coming from different sources, and I want that firepower to be decent enough. Kabal of the Poisoned Tongue helps me with my poisoned weaponry, very much so. The Serpent's Kiss. Each time model of this obsession makes an attack with a poisoned weapon, improve the poisoned weapon ability of that weapon by 1 to a maximum of 2+, e.g. poisoned weapon 4+ becomes poisoned 3+. So I've got a lot of Splinter Cannons being used, for example. So 4's to wound is okay, but 3's is so much better. When you're chucking out tons of shots, you're just tipping it over into a much more reliable way of causing wounds. There's a morale factor there. You can subtract 1 from combat attrition tests as well if they're destroyed by an attack made by a poison weapon. Also, so that's really the main reason for taking that. Just nice simple roll, +1 to my poison rolls, and you get to see a lot of units here that are using poisoned weaponry. So it's just a major help. Nice and simple bonus for my firepower. So obviously if you're on a list that doesn't have much poison weaponry, then consider one of the others. But for me and my list with a lot of Venoms and stuff, then that's been so far it's been a good choice. It's worked out well for my Drukhari list. We'll go now. We'll cover it here. So we'll come to it later on because it all sort of links in with relics and warlord traits and stuff. So thinking about this patrol, so the Kabal units are going to provide sort of the backbone of the army. So that's where I'm going to get my jets from. All my transportation vehicles are coming from this Kabal. And a lot of my sort of objective grabbing Carbolite Warriors, units like that, but there's also some close combat units as well. So I'd say it's a good 2/3, 3/4 of the army would actually be this patrol. So I will go through in the order that they come. There's all sorts of combinations. It's a dangerous army, the Drukhari. They are decent enough for sure. So the first will be an Archon. So you've got a plastic version available here. I've got a couple of the old metal models which I'm still using. It came as a pack of 2, blister pack. I've run them as like a father and a son type idea going on with those. So there's one here. And then there's another one as well, metal. But that's the one I've taken just there. It's actually a plastic arm on him. But I think he comes with like a Husk blade as standard. And yeah, it's a plastic pistol as well, so I sort of used spare bits from different kits for him. So he's actually equipped with an agonizer, but I'm not taking that here. It's another weapon being taken, but it's one Archon. He's got a very specific role, sort of tactical role being taken for him. Previously in previous editions, you had to keep the Warlord alive, you could lose a lot of points and so on, but now it's not such a big deal having him as having the Warlord on the board. So he's got more of a free reign to be used on the table and putting himself at risk. So Archon here, movement 8, weapon skill ballistic skill 2+, strength 3, toughness 3, so not too strong, not too tough. 5 wounds though, 5 attacks, 4 up, save, leadership 9, so the stat line's pretty good. So he's got the shadow field here, which is 2+ invulnerable save, which is ridiculous. You can't reroll if it fails though, so it's only a matter of time before it fails, but sometimes you can really infuriate people and just keep rolling 2+s all the time. Other times you'll roll the first one, you get a 1. That's just the way it is, but often that 2+ save will hold quite nicely. So he helps Kabal core or incubi units within 6 inches. They reroll hit rolls of 1, so you can provide a little bit of help and efficiency. Previously it used to be you could use his aura to help like jets, vehicles all reroll their 1s to hit, but that's gone. So he's really just helping out core and incubi type units with that reroll 1, so he's useful enough, but they're going to go beyond this here and give him actually a very specific role. So for him, you're looking at, I'll give you the points here. As far as I'm aware, these are correctly updated with the most recent I'm going to say Munitorum armor containers, Munitorum field manual points adjustments. So 70 points to start off with him. I give him Splintered Genius upgrade across here. It costs you 15 points. So once we're back to the end of the fight phase, if this model is within engagement range of enemy units, it can fight again. So he's got, once per game, he can fight twice. So obviously going to try and equip him quite well for close combat. But the ability to fight twice is powerful enough if you can give him some decent weapons. I then give him a blast pistol, it's a brilliant weapon. Strength, range 6, pistol 1, strength 8, minus 4 d6 damage. I mean, fantastic pistol, just 5 points. You can fire it into close combat, fire it before he charges into close combat, and so on. And then just pay 5 points for a Husk blade, nice and cheap. Strength for the user, only strength 3, AP minus 2, 2 damage. The AP is pretty good, the damage is pretty good, but it's very low strength, so not that great. So yeah, I'm actually taking just the one Warlord trait on him. So there's 3 Warlord traits being taken in total, 1 Relic, so this is still the same cost in points. So the Warlord trait taken for him is called Ancient Evil. So the idea is that this is used to help other units, because he doesn't strike too hard. He can fight twice, he's got damage to weapon, he's okay-ish. Can maybe take down characters, perhaps just hitting them with tons of attacks. I was running the Djin blade. So, as I could just pay the point, start at 1 CP and just try and make him, because it's a pretty good weapon. Djin blade, plus 1 strength. Now you're switching him to strength 4. A further AP minus 3, and 3 damage. That's pretty good. Each time the bearer fights makes 2 additional attacks with this weapon. So you're bumping him from 5 attacks to 7 attacks. At the end of the fight phase, roll 1d6 if the bearer made any attacks with this weapon. If the roll 1, the bearer suffers a mortal wound. I just do think that's worth it, because if you're fighting twice, damage 3 is total of 14 attacks. Boy, yeah. No, I'm going to just make a little adjustment to my list here. I'm going to put the Djin blade in. Just my paper list there. Djin blade and drop to 1 CP. Now, if there's anything I've said in here you disagree with, because obviously I'm spending CP, but I think it's worth it to give him. He's fighting twice, makes the weapon way much better, gives him 2 more attacks. I really think it is worth it. So now we'll give him the Djin blade. He's got loads of attacks now and a dangerous weapon for sure. Now, obviously it's not going to be that great against things like vehicles and monsters, but medium infantry is a ton of wounds potentially come through, so it's dangerous enough. So Djin blade being taken, and then I combine that with Warlord trait set. So he takes this one here, Ancient Evil. At the start of the fight phase, you can select one enemy unit within engaged range of this Warlord. That unit is not eligible to fight until all other units have done so. So you're shutting that unit down and stopping them from fighting. So that'll help him, but it'll also help other units as well. So you'll often find that he's sent in to, for example, Mortarians coming towards you. I run him into Mortarian, shut Mortarian down, and let all my other units fight against Mortarian. And so that helps him, but it also helps the other units. If there's a target I need to gang up on, or as a unit I'm afraid of perhaps an interrupt play taking place, and I can use him to shut that target down. So now the other option that comes up is I can then charge on 2 fronts, fight first over here, having shut down the opponent on the other side to stop that interrupt from taking place. So there's a massive tactical use for this guy, and it's cheap. If you add it all together, 95 points in total. You can fight well, you can help with some rerolls, and that vital shutdown in close combat can literally be a game changer. It can really help tip the scales in the favour of the Drukhari assault. So often you're going to find yourself in games you need to assault multiple targets, you can't hang around. The interrupt plays can be very, very dangerous against a softer army. You just use him as a shutdown mechanism for the opponent. It seems to work really, really well. So you'll often see it, if you watch the battle reports with the Drukhari, you'll see him manoeuvring out to shut the target down, and then I'll choose to fight first with a charge unit somewhere else, and then not worrying about any interrupt from that key enemy unit. So tactical choice with him, often in the case of HQs, they're sort of helping with the tactics and structure of the army. So that's the idea. With the Archon, so he leads, he's the Warlord, Ancient Evil, Djin Blade, for Warlord trait and Relic, and 95 points is the cost. Okay, so next HQ choice, we'll bring him in, it's Drazhar, so he'll go with the Kabal here. So here he is, we've seen him already up close. This guy is a cold and calculated killer, and the idea is to release him at the right point, and he'll cause trouble for most targets, especially as infantry, elite, heavy infantry, multiple wound infantry. Drazhar will cause them big trouble. So fantastic model, well worth getting hold of, brilliant to add to your collection, and the rules are fantastic for him as well. So 145 points for him. Do give him Warlord trait, which we'll come to in just a moment, just to make him like super good. So movement 7, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+, strength 4, toughness 4, so a little bit tougher, a little bit stronger. 6 wounds, 5 attacks as base, 9 leadership, and a 2-up save. He does have a 4+ invulnerable save, which is excellent. And then he's got a choice of 2 abilities here. You can go for the, remember this is 5 attacks come for hitting on 2s. Single blade is +2 strength, so now he's fighting at strength 6, AP -3, 3 damage. You can see how dangerous he is, especially against things like Gravis armor type marines. They'll be in trouble against him, causing 3 damage straight away. Dual blades he can go for, which will give him +1 strength, so that'll tip him nicely over into strength 5, as to wound, 3 pluses against toughness 4. AP -3 again, straight 2 damage, a nice primary skill, and he doubles the number of attacks. So he'll get 10 attacks with that profile hitting on 2s. So that's good, really good, but you can make that better. He's already got the 4+ invulnerable save. He has the ability called Blade Artist, which we should mention here. So, because the rules are sort of the way these codexes work, you have to dot them around. It's after here, right? Your relics, then you're onto Crusade, then you come to just before the list start. Yeah, right, so you've got abilities here, which we'll maybe talk about these a little bit. So, yeah, Blade Artist is here. So each time model they shoot, it makes attack with melee weapon. 6 is to wound, improve the AP by 1. So on 6s, he'll pop AP -4, so even more useful against things like Space Marines with Armour of Contempt and so on. So a little rule that's easily forgotten, but it's well worth remembering. And you'll see Blade Artist being entered across the majority of the keywords here, or abilities. Blade Artists here. They get Power from Pain as well. So Power from Pain, so it affects every army. Every unit of your army is Drukhari unaligned. So battle round 1, you get a 6+ invulnerable save. He's already on a 4+ anyway. Then turn 2 onwards, you can advance and charge. That's very useful. Now this fits in nicely with the philosophy behind my list, because the longer you wait, the more abilities become unlocked. So it fits in quite nicely with what I'm trying to do with this list. Soften the opponent up first and then go in. So turn 2, you're going to get advance and charge, which is very useful. Because often you'll see my units stationed, even my melee units, quite far back. And the idea is that I hold them back so they don't get caught out and destroyed in combat, or too close for nasty firepower, and then they disembark 3, move 7 or 8, and then perhaps an advance and a charge on top of that. So that aids with that. Flensing Fury, turn 3, so you make a melee attack, add 1 to attack's hit roll. If the unit is a vehicle monster keyword, it does not suffer the penalty incurred to its hit rolls for firing heavy weapons, so on and so on. And then turn 4 onwards is a 5+ invulnerable save, and turn 5 onwards, as each time morale test is taken, if the unit is auto-pass morale test as you get into the mopping up stage of the game. Then your poisoned weaponry, we've sort of covered that. And then combat drugs, we'll come back to that one maybe when we get to the witch cult stuff. So Blade Artist just in there. So Murderous Assault, this model can be selected to fight 1 additional time in each fight phase. It must be eligible to fight each time it's selected to do so. That's utterly ridiculous. It gets to fight twice every turn, which is insane. It's utterly mad. You've got potential 20 attacks coming in from him if he goes for dual blades twice over. He's also got Ancient Warrior. Each time an attack is allocated to this model, it's -1 damage. Again, that's ridiculously good. And he's also got Tormentors. The start of each fight phase, select one enemy unit of engagement range of this model, roll 2d6. If the result is greater than the enemy's unit's leadership, until the end of that phase, and then it shuts them down. They can't fight until you've done so. So that's all right. It's not too reliable though. Master of Blades, Aura ability. After for any Incubi unit, and obviously I'm going to take Incubi here. Whilst within 6 inches of him, each time model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. Huge bonus, +1 to the wound roll, so strong, and he grants it to them. So if you're running Incubi, you must take Drazhar. He's just so good. So brilliant model, amazing abilities, utterly deadly. And then when you think you couldn't get any better, you take his Warlord trait, which is around here, which is Hatred Eternal. Just make sure, yeah, named character Drazhar, Hatred Eternal is the Warlord trait. Each time this Warlord makes an attack, you can reroll the hit roll and the wound roll, which is utterly insane. I mean, I've seen, this must be one of the most blessed models profiles out there that I've seen. You just got everything. Fights, the damage ability of this guy is incredible. His durability for a Drukhari model is fantastic. 6 wounds, 2 up save, 4 up invuln save, -1 damage against him is fantastic. And just the amount of damage he can do. Fighting twice every turn. So surprised whether he has been the rules have been changed. I don't think so, but he still remains as a powerful unit. 145 points, an absolute bargain. So nice unit just to close in and to really cause trouble for whatever target he goes after. With his ability, he can slam into vehicles quite comfortably and cause them trouble as well. So Drazhar's definitely in the list, an absolute killer. So that's one of the hallmarks of this list, is like at the very core of this army, a couple of nasty HQ choices, Drazhar being one of them. So then we'll go on to troops. So I've got 2 HQs, one's tactical, one's the killer. So that's the way it works at the moment. Carbolite Warriors next. So if you Carbolite Warrior, I'm basically taking these for some reliable firepower and for objective grabbing, really would be the main purpose. Close combat, they're not going to do too much. They've got Blade Artists, that's about it. You can go for combat stuff, but base of 3 attacks and a Cyberite, the squad leader, it's okay, but not too reliable. Carbolite Warrior's got a base of 2 attacks, okay. The armor saves improved to a 4+, which is quite good, but of themselves they're not too durable. So I go for a classic combination for Drukhari players to negate their weakness and to pick up the speed with them as well, and to increase their durability for grabbing objectives. I combine them with Venom's transportation vehicles. So I run 2 squads of these at 5 at a time. You can take between 4 and 19, or 5 and 19 models. So I go for squads of 5, nice and small. And then in that squad I just take a blaster, so they've got a little bit of punch to them. Blaster's a 10-point upgrade. That's range 18, assault 1, strength 8, -4d6 damage, not too bad. One shot by itself is not too scary, but if you have multiple units doing that, then it's trouble. The rest to give Splinter rifles, but a poison weaponry, which will be wounding on the 3s instead of 4s, for poison tongue. And yeah, just checking to see what they're under, just Splinter rifles is fine. And that's about it. So that squad will cost you 50 points, nice and cheap. Not too durable is the problem. So then you go to the transport options, dedicated transports. One of the hallmarks of the Drukhari is their transport vehicles. So Venom. Here, so you get a little Venom. It costs me 65 points, 10 points to take the extra Splinter Cannon. And you've got yourself a little transportation vehicle with a capacity of 6. So I take 5 Carbolite Warriors, and then I leave 1 space if I need to pick up a character, for example. So just to add in that flexibility. The Splinter Cannon, range 36, heavy 3. Heavy 3, it's okay because it's on a vehicle, so you're not going to get the -1. Strength 3, -1, 2 damage. But your strength, you're not worried about so much because you're going to go to poisoned against infantry. 4+ to wound. Poison tongue becomes 3+ to wound. You're tipping that over to that. I take 2 Splinter Cannons, so you've got 6 shots come through. Nice, decent range. You can just immediately start sending those shots in. Now, 1 Venom's not too scary, but if you start taking 2, 3, 4 and so on of those, you can start amassing a decent amount of poison firepower coming through. I know it's going to get shot at, so don't bother by taking any combat weapons ready. Really? Well, don't bother taking any extra upgrades. Combat weapons, I mean, you could take chain snares at extra 3 attacks, a few options to go for, but I don't really bother because I know it's going to be shot at. Don't want to spend out points on something that's just going to get taken out. And as it sits, it's pretty good. It's -1 to hit it with the flicker field. It's got 5+ invulnerable save built into it as well, which is very, very useful. It's open top, so whatever you put inside can fire out of it. So my squad of Carbolite Warriors with their blaster can fire out from that platform. So now you've got the firepower from that, the firepower from the Carbolite Warriors. And again, one of them is alright, but you start taking multiple little pods of those and combined together, the firepower's not too bad. So that's about it really with those. So I run that twice over. So 2 squads of 5, each has a Venom. And therefore moving out, grab the objectives, they can sit there. If the opponent destroys the transport, the infantry can get out and still continue to hold the objectives. That's the idea with that Carbolite Warrior Venom combination. I then also take Carbolite Trueborn. So they will cost you 10 points each, so 100 points. So you're getting Carbolite Warrior, but then you're also getting access to Trueborn here. So Carbolite Trueborn, for each Master Archon unit in your army, and that upgrade Splintered Genius lets you become a Master Archon. Yeah, 1 unit of Carbolite Warriors in the same detachment can be upgraded to Carbolite Trueborn. Carbolite Trueborn have a maximum unit size of 10, so I max them out, I do take 10. Again, the Carbolite Trueborn keyword and have the following additional abilities. So this is on top of their usual abilities, hitting on 3s, so on and so on. They have Ballistic Skill 2+, so this is immediately telling me this is worth going for Ballistic Skill, these guys, to make very accurate firepower. You get +1 leadership. Each time a unit makes a ranged attack, you can ignore any and all hit roll and Ballistic Skill modifiers. So again, fantastic. There's very hyper reliable firepower. Costs you 3 points a model to upgrade that. So it's actually, correction here, it should be 110 points for the squad. 80 points for 10 usually, plus another 30 points in total to make them into Trueborn. So to take advantage of that, I give them a Dark Lance. It's heavy, but they ignore all modifiers, so I'm just going to be hitting on 2s, that thing, nice and reliable with the Dark Lance. The Dark Lance weapon, again, range 36, nice range, strength 8, -4, and D3 +3 damage. Very reliable damage coming through with that thing. So very, very useful weapon indeed. And then I max out and take 2 blasters in the squad as well. So I've got another 2 weapons that are kicking out strength 8, -4, D6 damage with them. So nice platform there. And then just taking the splinter rifles on the others, but hitting on 2s at nice reliable firepower with those. So that's the Trueborn. They come to a total of 110 points, 20 points for 2 blasters, 15 points the Dark Lance makes them 145 points. Again, soft target, quite slow, and I want them just to keep firing and be nice and fluid on the move. So I give them a Raider. And again, the great thing about the Raider, it's an open top vehicle. It's got 10 wounds this time, 4 up save. Again, it has the 5+ invulnerable save for Night Shield, transport capacity of 11. So I can again go the full squad of 10 Carbolite Warriors, and there's a space for a character on there as well. So yes, I think that's pretty much it. You can go for upgrades on there, but again, it's going to be the target of shooting, so I don't usually bother taking the extra upgrades on those. The Raider will cost you 100 points, 95 points to the Raider. I take the Disintegator Cannon, which is range 36, again a nice long range, range 36, heavy 3, strength 5, -3, 2 damage. It's a bit of sort of Primaris killing firepower available with that, so it makes the Raider 100 points. So I've called all that out, we'll arrange some models here just to catch up. So we've got 2 HQ choices. As I've said, we're taking a Raider here with Carbolite Trueborn. So, and then we're taking 2 Venoms with their firepower. So I'll go 1 there and 1 there. So you're getting these mobile gun platforms forming up quite nicely. And then my Carbolite Warriors. If you're clever with some of the poses and you swap heads and weapons around, I've got ones that sort of look half Witch, half Carbolite Warrior. So if lists and so on ever change around, I can interchange the models and not have to paint up new stuff. I have a few spare witches in the box. And the day comes I need them, I can swing them around and so on without having to paint new stuff all the time. So that's a little tip that you can do. But I'll pull out all the ones that Carbolite Warriors. And here, pretty much them. So squad leader, Dark Lance, blasters, 2 of them. So I'll put 1 over in that squad. Need to make sure there's a blaster. Goes over in that one. Little 5-man squads. Just bulk these out to squads of 5. Need my squad leaders, and that finishes off that squad. And there's that squad there finished off. 2 squads of 5 each with a blaster, and then the 10-man or 10-person Carbolite Warrior squad. So, sort of need 2 more. So I'm going to add in a couple of models that my half Witch, half Carbolite Warrior style ones, just that. Just bulk it out like so. Okay, so Carbolite Warriors, nice good representation of those. Firepower's pretty good, and then you've got your decent transportation vehicles there with their firepower. So you've got mobile, objective grabbing tactical unit choices here at this stage. Plenty of units to come, but sort of building a nice sort of backbone for the army at this stage. So, and cost-wise, you know, not too bad. I haven't spent too many points at this stage. So we've got objective grabbing, firepower support, mobility is all in place. Need a bit of striking power now. So I'm going to bring in the Incubi. So squad of 5. So you notice that often my squads are built not too strong, because I think, for example, the Incubi, I'm going to use them once, send them in, and the opponent's probably going to respond and try and take them out. So I want to invest in a big squad and points, sink a lot of points into them, but rather just go, I'll go here for these. So these are like a bodyguard type unit for Drazhar and also for the Archon as well. There's a plastic kit, amazing models. Just really impressed with the Incubi set, so really glad to have painted those up. So, remember doing +1 to the wound rolls for Drazhar, massive bonus and help for these. Incubi now at 19 points each. Weapon skill, movement 7. Weapon skill of 2+ as standard, hitting on 2s, which is fantastic. Just the 1 wound each. 3 attacks base, which again is fantastic. 3 up save on these. And then the Clavex, 2 wounds, 4 attacks as base. The standard Clave +2 strength, just strength 5s. Again, nicely hits wounding on 3s. So these are real sort of marine Primaris killers here. 8 -3. Remember Blade Artist kicking in with 6s to wound. 2 damage on that one again. Primaris killers for sure. And then the Demiglaves can be used on, which I've modelled on here for the Clavex. Single blades +2 strength, strength 5 -3, 2 damage as standard, but you can split them into dual blades and get +1 strength, 8 -2, 2 damage with 2 additional attacks, the potential of like 8 attacks coming through just with the squad leader. Blade Artist, power from pains, is 6 up, invulnerable save immediately kicking in. Lethal Precision. Whilst this unit contains a Clave X, each time melee attack is made by a model in this unit, an unmodified wound roll of a 6 adds 1 to the damage characteristic of that attack. So popping damage 3 on these on 6s to wound, which is fantastic. And you've got Tormentors, the opportunity to shut stuff down if you're able to make that roll. But it's not too reliable. I don't rely on that really. I try not to build a strategy around that because it's not reliable. Whereas this guy, you know he's going to shut them down with his Warlord trait, and so that's a much more solid way of building a battle plan. But incredible models, beautiful job Games Workshop have done, and they're the perfect fit here for Drazhar. So I've got a striking unit of Incubi. You usually see them operating together. And sometimes you'll see it where the Incubi and Drazhar will go in, and the Incubi will go in, strike, do their damage, then they'll absorb and soak up damage, act as the bodyguard, they'll die mostly, and then Drazhar's still hanging around to continue the fight on a subsequent turn, something like that, but a smaller unit available there with the Drukhari. I then give them the Raider, another dedicated transport coming in, same loadout, and what I have here now is a Raider with 5 slots being taken up, 6 left. So Drazhar could join them, or he should join them, because you've got transport capacity of 11. So usually you'll see the Archon join the Trueborn. Full squad there of 10 plus 1, so that's the transport capacity used up. And then Drazhar has the option of joining this squad inside the transportation vehicle, the Raider, and then I've got a slot for 5 more models to fit in. That's Drazhar done. That's the Incubi. Yeah, so we'll move on to fast attack. This is again a tactical firepower choice. Yeah, it's fast attack here. Now, I was skeptical of this unit. I always loved the models. I struggled to put them in lists to do well. Always went down the route trying to use heavy firepower for them, but instead I've gone in a bit of a different direction. So Scourges being used here. Usual sort of profile, 14-inch moves. They do jump nice and quick. They are amazing models. These wings are a beautiful job. So I'll tuck them in, I'll put them here. Let's take a squad of 5 of those. They're quite amazing. They are amazing models. They're a lovely addition to a Drukhari army. A little bit annoying with the weapons configurations, sort of one of each type weapon, so you might buy multiple boxes to get what you want. But I'm not too fussed to just explain to the opponent what they're armed with, and it's usually not a problem. Scourges then. Now I go for a cheap option with these, and so far it's proved highly effective. So the key element with these is, yes, they can jump nice and quick, but they have a built-in deep strike, wing strike. During deployment you can set up this unit high in the skies, you deep strike in, use your rolls just over 9 inches away, turn 2 onwards. With those, they've got a 5+ invulnerable save, but again, I'm not expecting them to last too long. They're to land, do their job, and then everything else is a bonus after that. So what to give them? The base cost of those, 5 of them, is 60 points. Yeah, nice and cheap. And then for cheap weaponry, I give them Shredders, which I've been pretty impressed by. Range 18, so you can easily land and reach your target with firepower. Assault D6, it's basically, see here, up to 4 Scourges can have their Shard Carbine replaced with one of the following. So you've got a fantastic way of loading these out with lots of weapons. There's all sorts of combinations you can go for. You can take Blasters, Dark Lances, Haywire Blasters, Heat Lance, Shredder, Splinter Cannon. So there's lots of options. I've gone for a cheap deep strike here, so it's Shredders, because only 5 points a time, so it's like 20 points, an 80 point unit to give them these shots here. Assault D6, Strength 6, nice and high in Strength, 8 -1, and then the key here is Blast. So these are particularly good against Horde type units, so large screens of like cultists or Hormagaunts, whatever it is, because often you're going to be hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. A little bit of AP minus just breaks their armor for them, usually on a 5-up save or a 6-up save, it just strips that away. And then just the number of shots, if it's a large Horde unit with Blast, if the unit's large enough, it's 11 or more models I believe, you'll max out the number of shots, which will be 6. Take 4 of them, that's 24 shots coming in at Strength 6 -1. So particularly useful against Horde type targets. with those. You can also use them because they're infantry. They've got haywire grenade ability as well, actually, and their core. But because they're infantry, you can land them and do actions and stuff with them as well. So it's like a little tactical choice. It's a little asset that you can call upon. There's a screen that needs to be cleared, or there's an objective that needs to be achieved, some action that needs to take place. Then a cheap unit of scourges can be used. But I've kitted them out for firepower and for tactics. So if they are called upon for firepower, they've got something that they can use to shred with. But if not, I haven't invested too many points in firepower if they're away doing something else. So that's kind of the option I've gone for with the scourges. So far, it's proved very useful on the board. So decent, I'm happy enough with those. It's proved to be a pretty good choice. Next is heavy support. So filling out the backbone of the army quite nicely, but what about this middle section of long range precision firepower? We don't have much at all at this point. A couple of blasters dotted about, dark lance, but not much. So take a Ravager. You can hide it, swing it out when you need to provide that firepower. It can hang quite far back, 36-inch range. I take triple dark lance on it. 3 lance shots coming through, dangerous enough. Each one's D3 plus 3 damage. So a couple of wounds come through with that thing, it's going to cause trouble. You can hide it, swing it out. If it does need to manoeuvre into position, it's got 14-inch moves, it can move nice and quick. Durability on it is not too bad. You've got 11 wounds, toughness 6, 4 up save, 5+ invulnerable save. So it's not too bad, but it is the dark lance that I take on that sort of tank hunting ability. By itself, it's not going to do too much damage to vehicles. But you start adding in blasters and dark lances from other places, then combining that together, it becomes dangerous enough. So I do take the Ravager added in. And then finally, for this Kabal is the flyers. So I've got my ground force, it's all nicely mechanised. There's some close combat striking ability with it here. There's some medium range firepower, some long range firepower. But now I want these jets, these screaming jets to be the initial strike force. There's so many good reasons for taking these. So I take Void Raven bombers. They're a big presence on the table. They're huge. So I'll stick these. Probably won't see them too well, but I'll stick them here at the back. There's one. I do take a second, so I take 2. One's not enough. 2 looks great. I'll just tuck those in there. You can see the noses of them just there. But they tower above the army on the battlefield. They're huge 4-engine turbine things with the double cockpit and the bomb and the big guns on them. They look particularly menacing on the table. They're very, very psychological intimidation with these things. The opponent sees them, perhaps gives them more credit than what they're worth, but they see them as a big threat. And the idea is that if firepower is directed at the flyers, it's not being directed at your ground force. If the opponent ignores them, then they're going to be harassed by these flyers throughout the game. So it creates a conundrum for the opponent. Do they invest turn 1 in trying to bring the flyers down, ignore this stuff? Or do they just ignore the flyers and then take the hits from the flyers and try and deal with stuff from here? So it creates quite a problem for the opponent. And again, just with the theme, it's not, maybe perhaps for competitive play, not so much of a popular choice, but yeah, I don't know. I think they are They are definitely useful. So they come in at 175 points each. So they're expensive enough. I don't pay for any upgrades. So I don't take the missiles, as they're just not that impressive. You've got 2 options: the implosion missile, range 48, assault D3, strength 6 -3, 2 damage, and it's a blast weapon. Or you can go for the Shatterfield missile, assault D6, strength 7 -2, just the 1 damage and blast. I think it's 15 points to pay for that upgrade. I just don't see it being worth it. So I don't take the missiles, keeps the cost of them down, because again, I know they're going to get shot at. Now each comes with 2 Void Lances. Range 36, no problem because these flyers are going to move. Heavy one, strength 9, it's really good against toughness 8 targets. AP -4, D3 plus 3 damage. So now my lance options on the board have gone from 1 here, 4 there. I've just added another 4, so I've doubled my lance options on the table, so that's a really good bonus. Also, as I said, if the opponent ignores them during the game, they're just going to get being hit by these lance weapons 1 turn after the next. Fantastic. So it does create a big problem. They're obviously going to be hard to hit. It says power from pain here, so I think they'll get those abilities. They're on a knight shield again anyway, 5+ invulnerable save. Because they're aircraft, then they're -1, hard to hit. So it's -1 to hit them, so the opponent just go after them, it's a little bit harder to target them. Got supersonic, got airborne, and they explode, just the usual stuff for those. So the deciding factor that helped me take these, perhaps over and above Razor Wings, is the Void Mine. So this is one use only, once per battle in your movement phase, after the bearer makes its normal move or advances, which is 60-inch moves. You've got the board covered. You can select one point on the battlefield the bearer moves across. It could be a wingtips moved across an enemy unit. You could have flown straight over the target, whatever it is. You pick that point on the table. Roll 1d6 for each unit within 6 inches of that point. So you've got a 12-inch blast radius, really, with this mine. It's -1 to hit if it's a character, excluding vehicles and monsters. On a 4+, it's d6 mortal wounds, which is fantastic. Really, really good. Often in games, the opponent on turn 1 will have deployed their army with buffs and bonuses and sort of clustered together inside the deployment zones. So turn 1's the perfect time to strike with these. So you will usually just fly these straight across the opponent's deployment zone and drop the mines immediately before they're taken down and destroyed. So there's a chance of causing d6 mortal wounds on 4+. You can even hit characters. You get cheeky assassination on different units. And usually I try and crisscross these over, so you'll drop the bomb perhaps at the same point or near it. You get double the chance then of trying to pop these 4+ or 5+ to get those d6 mortal wounds. So the potential to cause real havoc and big problems immediately, it really is there. And so it really adds to that intimidation factor, and the feedback has been that the opponent knows those two flyers there. They know there's a bombing run going to take place, and it is a big intimidation. Even before the game gets going. So that's their purpose, is to fear the air cover that the Drukhari have. This initial strike is going to soften up the target before the main raid takes place. The whole sort of theme that develops with these is quite nice, fits to the play style and the fluff of the way the Drukhari work. So I love the jets, just adds a whole dimension. You've got your infantry right on the ground, you've got your vehicles hovering above the board, and then right up in the skies you've got the jets in support as well. I'm sure it increases the bravery and the motivation of the Drukhari ground forces as well, knowing that they have air superiority on the table. So that's them. So that completes that patrol. It is big. This is the bulk of the army here. So we have initial airstrike. We've got plenty of lance and heavy firepower. Those 8 lance shots plus 4 more blaster shots coming through. It is pretty good. Plenty of anti-light infantry firepower with the rifles, the splinter cannons. And then we've got some close combat elements in the form of the Kabal and then Drazhar for close combat. So now we're going to add on more stuff. This Drukhari army is already a good size, but we'll add on some more. So move on to the second patrol, which will be a witch cult. We're trying to bulk out close combat a little bit. I don't have to, because of the way this army is operating. Other armies you have to say, right, 3/4 of my army is going to be for close combat. I'm going to lose half the army or half of that number before I get in for the kill, like a Tyrian army perhaps or something like that. But with Drukhari, I can go for small little bits of melee, because by the time I need them, much of the work has been done by the firepower and softening up. So I don't need tons and tons of melee units, just need these surgical strike well-equipped units to finish off targets is the idea. So for which cults, I go for Cult of Strife. Nope, I go for Cult of the Red Grief. Yes, Cult of the Red Grief here for this patrol. So this full list, by the way, will be in the video description, so you can copy this list. You can take elements from it. You can copy that patrol that we've just looked at. You can copy what's about to come here for the witch cult. You can take different combinations. You can improve on things. You can leave comments and make suggestions. A lot of the deep sort of chat, in-depth stuff for Army List is on YouTube channel membership. We have the Army Development Series. So that's where, like, this list here has been developed a good while ago over on YouTube channel membership. When I first come out with lists, it's all open for discussion. People can leave their comments, make suggestions. That's all done in the Army Development Series. So if you want to join in with that for all the different factions, then that is on channel membership. So Caught with the Red Grief. I'm looking for units that are going to surgical strike. It's nice and quick, hit hard. You can reroll charges, fantastic. And you get +2 to advance rolls. It's just so useful, just getting an extra stretch. You want it so that your charges just don't fail. You disembark, move, advance. You get so close to the target, your charges are just going to go ahead. That's the kind of situation you want to be in. Because my units are so small, I can't afford to fail with them. I need them in striking and making the most of their unit size. So, Caught with the Red Grief also gives me the red glaive here, the blood glaive relic, which we'll come to in a moment. So first up is HQ choices. Another cheap deadly HQ. It's a Succubus. Now I'm wondering for her, let's just have a little look. Yeah, there's no, whatever she's armed with, you're not paying any extra points. It's just a flat 80 points. So for the Succubus, which she is, we'll go here, I think, the witches. There's some distance away, but there's the Succubus. Just clear those. So, brilliant model. We saw it earlier on in the showcase part of the video. We'll bring her up here. So again, for Drukhari, this is going to be another example of taking a model that's okay and then turning it into a killer. So one of the great things about the 9th edition codex is there's fantastic combinations. Like really use your imagination and go for different combos. And it's nice exploring the book to see what works and what doesn't. And so Succubus, movement 8 is nice and quick. She's going to be caught with the Red Grief. She's on +2 to advance rolls. Turn 2 onwards, you can advance and charge, so really fast. Disembark out of the vehicle, you can add an extra 3 inches onto that as well, so very quick. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+. 5 wounds base, 6 attacks as base, which is fantastic. 6 up save. She's got a 4+ invulnerable save as standard across the board. That's melee and shooting, so nice, solid. Blade Artist, combat drugs, which we'll come to. Power from pain kicks in. She grants reroll ones to wound for witch cult units. It's okay, but it's one of those kind of abilities that's just take it if it's there, but it's no massive requirement. She can do no escape, so excluding Titanic units with engaged range of this model, selected to fall back, roll off of your opponent, subtracting 1 if the opponent's roll, if this model is equipped with a shard and impaler, they cannot fall back. So you can pin stuff down. It rarely happens, occasionally happens in games, but not too often. So I try and take advantage of that ballistic skill. So give her a blast pistol, adding another strength 8 -4d6 damage option to the list. And then I give her the archite. Well, she comes with an agonizer and archite glaive, but it says here you can swap out the agonizer for a blast pistol. I do that. Just rely on the one melee weapon's fine. And the archite glaive gives her +2 strength, so she fights at strength 5, 8 -1, 1 damage, which in and of itself is not that great really. Just 1 damage at a time. You know, she might take out a couple of Marines, but that's about it. So she's okay at this point, but she really needs a bit of help to make it good. So we combine a Warlord trait and a Relic. So the Relic I take is for Call of the Red Grief. It's the Blood Glaive. Model equipped with an Archite Glaive, which you've got there. You swap it out for this one. It gives her +2 strength. She's fighting at strength 5, still the same. 8 -3, still the same, but straight 3 damage instead of damage 1. That's huge. Now, she's a real Primaris killer or Gravis killer on the board. So that's okay. She'll not do too bad. But we really want it so that she does really well. So we give her precision blows. Each time an unmodified hit roll of a 6 is made for a melee attack by this Warlord, she's got 6 dice getting 6s, usually going to get 1 or 2. The target unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the damage characteristic of the weapon for that attack, and the attack sequence ends. Basically, 6 is to hit for her is 3 mortal wounds. And the amount of time she's charged in and rolled 6 dice and got 2 6s, immediately 6 mortal wounds dished out. Yeah, and going in against a lot of characters, that means she's killed them straight away with that ability, or she's just had to charge into a vehicle and she's managed to kick out a ton of mortal wounds with that ability. So you combine those two things together, and now she is officially a proper killer. So dangerous enough. If you don't roll any 6s for your wounds, or your hit, sorry. She's going to hit reliably anyway on 2-ups. Wound and decent AP minus, decent damage, so it's going to cause trouble for targets anyway, but a brilliant bonus to have the ability to kick out a nasty amount of mortal wounds on 6s to hit. So that's turned into a kill, and she's a unit that's quite feared on the table, and you've kept the cost down, 80 points in total. So there she is. We'll come back to her in just a moment. So I want to talk a little bit about abilities here. So for witch cult stuff, combat drugs, you'll see it for the witches, she gets it as well. So you can randomize and take 2 of these, or you can fix and pick one. Usually I like to just pick one because I've got a bit more control. So yeah, I'll call these out. So you take Adrenalite, you get an extra attack on the charge, or if you heroically intervene. Sometimes I give her that just for the extra attack, extra chance of getting the 6. You can give her +1 strength, for her, not usually. +2 move, sometimes I'll take just to make her a bit more quicker across the board. +1 toughness, could help a bit. Improve the weapon skill by 1, there's no need for that really, she's on 2-ups anyway. Improve the ballistic skill, again, doesn't really need that. So I usually pick one from here. Usually it's the extra attack, so it gives her like 7 attacks on the charge. That all helps, just increasing the ability to cause those mortal wounds. I think it's the most powerful option. So then we'll go on to troops then. So witches. Oh, witches are pretty good. I'll use these for... Well, there's multiple options. I don't think they strike quite hard enough. A small unit of them just doesn't quite strike hard enough to expect too much from them. But they're very useful for tying up stuff. So I could send in some units to go and kill stuff specifically that will do well, such as Drazhar, Succubus, the Incubi, and the other witch units can go in and just lock units down in close combat, tap out vehicles, pin units down in close combat, and so on, and sort of tactical charging options taking place. So you'll see the witches being used in all different ways. But if they do need to fight, you got 3 attack space with these. Ecotrix has 4 attack space, plenty of attacks. These will move very, very swiftly. Got 8-inch move, so often I'll disembark 3, move 8, and turn 2 onwards. I can advance and charge. These are red grief, so they will get +2 to their advance roll. So very super quick. And if you give them the right combat drugs, you get an extra 2-inch move on top of that. So the stretch on them is incredibly good. They're handy for isolating characters, for mopping up units in close combat. They've got a 6-up invulnerable save, 4+ invulnerable save in close combat, so a bit of durability for them in close combat once they reach. The plasma grenades are pretty good to throw those. I don't really invest much in them at all, but I do take a little bit to give them a little bit of a sting. So I give an agonizer to the Speccatrix, the squad leader, usually. So strength user, open -3 on damage. Poisoned weapons, they'll be wounding on 4s, whatever it is they're fighting against. The standard Hekatari blade is strength user, it's open -1, nice. And then you get an extra attack for the weapon, so the standard witch has now got 4 attacks. AP -1, 6 to wound is an extra AP -1 on top of that, so decent enough. And I give the Hecatrix a blast pistol, so another sting here, and I do that across multiple units. So I take 2 units of witches at the moment. So there's my Hecatrixes, we'll do 1 there and 1 there. Equipped with the blast pistol each and an agonizer each. So got 2 more blast pistols, and then I'll just bulk out these 2 squads of 5, like so. These are my little tactical options. I don't expect too much from them, but they often contribute quite well. So that's them maxed out to what I want, 2 squads of 5. So the loadout for them, squad of 5 is 55 points. A blast pistol and an agonizer takes them to 65 a ton. Very, very cheap. 2 little squads. On foot, they're just going to get blown away. There's not much danger with them. So I give 5 of them a one of the squads goes inside another Venom with double Splinter Cannon. That Venom has come from, so apologies, I should have called this out. This Venom has actually been taken as part of the Kabal, so it will benefit from the 3+ to wound, poison, tongue and so on. I could give it as a dedicated transport to the Archon, for example, so it all fits in fine, but it actually becomes the transport vehicle for the witches. So they get on board that. Now they've been moved around and transported across the board. Nice platform for them to strike from. Then this squad of 5, I will transfer them across over to here to become part of the Raider with the Incubi. So with these being inside, they'll fill up the slots. 2 squads of 5 and 1 with Drazhar. If this vehicle is destroyed and I have to roll up 1s to see if models are slain, then this acts as my buffer unit. I'll take the models off of the witches if any 1s are rolled, and it'll preserve Drazhar and preserve the Incubi. So acting as sort of a damage absorption type unit if and when that transport vehicle is destroyed. And it means I don't have to get a second Venom either. They've actually fully mechanised and inside the transport vehicle. So everyone's mechanised now. And then the Succubus, she's got nowhere to go, but because I've taken a squad of 5, she can go inside the Venom. Like so. So that works out just fine. So the army's mechanised. They've got major manoeuvrability going on here, and durability for my soft infantry because they're all mechanised inside vehicles. And sometimes you'll see all sorts of shenanigans going on. You'll see one unit disembarks, moves off and charges. An opponent's destroyed one of my transport vehicles, with the infantry squad will run off and hop inside an empty transport and then move away. All sorts of things. So they'll share the vehicles, pick each other up, drop each other off. It's just it's all sorts of stuff going on. And the manoeuvrability of these as well around the board is fantastic. So speed, aggression is there. And as far as stamina is concerned, I'm negating the softness of these with the transport vehicles. And what you're getting is a lovely balance to the army here. You're getting your ground forces, nice spread of vehicles, and then the aircraft as well. So you're starting to see a nice representation here. So I've still got points, 2,000 point army. I've still got points for another unit. It's actually one of the most expensive. So we go to fast attack. Yeah, it's Reavers. One of my favourite units. There's all different ways you can run these. You can go for small units of 3, grabbing objectives perhaps. I run these as a bit more of an aggressive unit, but you just have to be careful with them because they're vulnerable enough. But I'll put them in this gap here. I'm going to put the Venom just there. So I will run, you can go units of 12. But I'm going to go for a squad of 9. Like so. And they're not too bad. But they bulk out the army. It's fantastic seeing in the list. Love the Reavers. Now this is the full army here. So for Reavers, base of 3 attacks of these, 4 attacks on the squad leader. If you give them, well, yeah, they come with blade veins. Now blade veins are pretty good. You get +1 strength, fantastic. So you're fighting at strength 4. 8 -1 built into that, plus blade masters. 6 to wounds, popping extra AP -1. Now, there's a lot of attacks here with these. 3 attacks as base over 9 models. There's a lot of attacks come through. What else do I give them? Yeah, so for these, I've got a unit of 9. So there's a bit of durability with them. They're 2 wounds at a time, 4 up save. There's a large blob of them, so there's a lot of wounds the opponents try and get through. The speed on them is incredible. 18-inch move as standard, so they will manoeuvre quickly across the table if needed. And I give them, well, they come with matchless swiftness. So each time this unit advances, you don't make a roll, it's a guaranteed 8-inch move. So 26-inch guaranteed move of these. They're super quick across the table. Yeah. And turn 2 onwards, you could go 26 inches and charge. That's crazy. If you give them combat drugs, you could go 28 inches. If you give them +2 move, it'd be a 20-inch built-in standard move with those with combat drugs. It's insanely fast. Loads of small rate attacks coming through. But then I want to give them a little bit of a sting as far as shooting is concerned, and it's not to make them like the shooting killer unit, but to push up the number of shots the overall army has. And so I give them a triple blaster, so range 18, assault 1, strength 8 minus 4 d6 damage. The other option you could go for maybe is heat lances, same range, number of shots as well, 1 shot, strength 8 minus 4, but it's d6 plus 2 damage. So you could kick in a little bit of extra firepower there, a bit of potency with that. Yeah, could do. Let's have a little look. Let's make another adjustment. I might experiment with these. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, you've got a blaster and a heat lance, the same. They're both 10 points a time now. They've been adjusted. The blaster's been brought down from 15 down to 10. Heat lance still sits at 10. They've been changed from 10 points each, by the way, to 20 points a time. That was a mistake there when the book came out. So you're looking at 20 points each, so 180 points in total, an extra 30 points for blasters or heat lances, whatever you decide to go for. I may well go for blasters or heat lances. The only downside is, if you advance, you could still shoot your blasters. If you advance with a heavy weapon, which is what the heat lances, then you can't shoot. And so I've kind of gone for the flexibility option, being able to advance and shoot. And so therefore I've stuck with the blasters. But heat lance is definitely an option for sure. So they help contribute to the overall firepower of the army. So you've got, you know, lance shots, blaster shots dotted about all over the place. Just to silence the firepower from these, it's very, very difficult because it's spread out across everything. Whereas with other armies, you can say, right, I'm going to take out the Devastator squad and I'm going to take out the Predators, and then much of the heavy firepower is gone. But with these, it's all buried all over the place. That again makes it difficult for the opponent to stop that heavy firepower from coming through. And then the manoeuvrability of the army means I can concentrate that firepower, I can triangulate my units through movement to fix on a particular target and get a lot of decent shots off against them. So Reavers, I've got some spare points in this list, 210 points in total for them. So I'm going to give them 3 cluster caltrops. Caltrops. Not sure how it's pronounced. So it says here, for every 3 models in the unit, you can take a blaster or a heat lance, so that's the option. For every 3 models in the unit, you can take a grav talon or a cluster caltrops. Now, grav talons is 4 pluses for mortal wounds, 6 is a d3 mortal wounds if the unit pulls away, which happens sometimes, but cluster caltrops is sorry, wrong way around. The cluster caltrop is if the enemy unit tries to fall back, it's 4 pluses to cause a mortal wound. But the grav talon is after the bearer has made a charge move, select one enemy unit with engaged range of them, roll a dice. On a 4 plus it's a mortal wound, on a 6 it's d3 mortal wounds. So I take grav talons on them, so it means on the charge there's a chance of kicking out a few mortal wounds. It may just tip a combat quite nicely or kill off a character without having to fight and so on. So, you know, so there's points to use up. So I've put 3 grav talons on them. Just make sure on the points. Yeah, 5 points for grav talon. That's how much it costs to take those. There's a chance to cause a few mortal wounds. One of them's not too scary, but I've got 3 of them in the squad, and it's a chance of kicking out a couple of mortal wounds. So if I add that all together, that should come to 1995 points. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you're looking at the Archon, 95 points for him. Drazhar, Master of Blades, 145 points. The Carbolite Warriors, 2 squads of 5 with blasters at 50 points a time. 2 Venoms at 75. The Trueborn, 145 in total. Incubi at 90. Raider at 100. Another Raider at 100. The Scourges at 80. The Ravager at 130. The Void Ravens without the missiles, 2 lots, 175. And then the 80 points for the Succubus. 2 squads of Witches with Blast Pistol and Agonizers at 65 points a time. 1 Venom being taken with those. And then the Reavers coming in at 210 points with all of their upgrades. No, they'll come in at 225 points, including the grav talons. So that's the list for the Drukhari. I hope this video has been a help. The whole idea is to give you the lowdown on the list, to sort of explain why all the units have been chosen, what their function is on the table. It gives you a bit of a heads up, so when you watch a battle report, you can say, oh, I know what his plan is with that, and you can watch and see what each unit does, and watch a battle plan sort of unfold as the game goes on. All fall to pieces, you know, lists and so on always change. You're looking for what works, what doesn't, so no doubt this list will change as time goes on. But so far, so good with these. They've done pretty good, and they've got some great victories on the channel and done well in the league. The plan is to put them back into the league as well for season 10 to get them back fighting again. Who knows? It could be the Pirates, the crowned champions on the channel. We shall have to see. But it's been enjoyable collecting them, and the revamp the Games Workshop did of these was an excellent job. So check out the other videos in the series. For discount 40k, do use that link below for the outpost. If you're looking for discount 40k across the UK, if you're in the European Union, then do check them out. Shipping across the EU, and if your order's large enough, then you'll get access to free shipping on top of that as well, and even with all the duties paid and so on, for shipping across to the European Union. And then don't forget the tutorials. If you like the look of this army, and there's no reason why you can't achieve the same results, those tutorials guide you through every process, all the basing, preparation, all the techniques, all the details is covered in those two videos. So how to paint Drukhari, and there's one for the Venom as well. It's available to watch, and that will guide you through all the processes for painting up in this style, or you could switch the colours out and go for your own unique style but follow the same process that you see in the video. But that's it for Drukhari. Keep a lookout for them on the channel. It's a raiding party coming to a town near you soon. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.